Welcome to our professional development session for our History of Western Society 11th edition. I want to start by thanking you for choosing a History of Western Society for your AP classroom. Our goals for today's session are to make sure that you are well prepared for using a History of Western Society in your classroom. This service is designed to introduce you to the pedagogy of the student edition and give you the opportunity to take an in-depth look at the other resources that come with the text. As we're going through the book, I encourage you to create a plan as we move through this presentation. We're also going to explore some resources beyond the textbook to use in your classroom. Bedford, Freeman, and Worth is always adding to its professional development video library, and I will show you the best places to find some of these resources. Let's start by taking a look at the program as a whole. With your adoption, you will receive all of the materials listed on the screen. Please note that some of these materials are optional add-ons. If you're interested in adding them to your purchase order, you can contact your sales rep. Let's start out by taking a look at the AP Europe course and exam. As you may know, the AP Europe course is going through a redesign, which starts this school year. The first thing I would suggest doing is going onto the AP Central for AP European History. You can access it from the link above or by going to apcentral.collegeboard.com and navigating to the AP European History page. The course structure consists of 5 themes and 19 concepts in 4 chronological periods. Key concepts lend support to the changes in history within the chronological periods, and the course themes allow students to make connections across the time periods and across European history as a whole. We'll dive a little deeper into these themes, concepts, and chronological periods next. The 5 themes, or thematic learning objectives, are what students will be investigating through the AP Euro course. They are listed on the screen here. Let's take a quick look at what each of these mean. Interaction of Europe and the world. Examine the motivations behind Europe's shipping routes, trading stations, and colonies. Your students will debate pursuing wealth, religious zeal, and securing more trade routes as motivating factors, and study the long-term effects of these explorations. Poverty and prosperity focuses on the Europeans' domination of banking and commercial networks, the French Revolution, Industrial Revolution, capitalism, socialism, the Great Depression, and 2 world wars. Your students will examine state and national responses, the development of capitalism, and society's reaction to such a changing system. Objective knowledge and subjective visions takes a look at the Renaissance and Enlightenment, and the new ideologies that were developed. Ideologies such as conservatism, liberalism, nationalism, socialism, and Marxism. Students will study the role of the church in educating society and when scientific reasoning started to replace that model. States and other institutions of power studies the rise of sovereign states throughout Europe after 1450 and a growth in secular power. Students study the forms of government and how it was affected by time, different principles, civil institutions, warfare, and other factors. Finally, individual and society studies shows the lines between clergy, nobility, commoners, and peasantry, and as they blurred through this period in European history. Society as a whole changes dramatically from 1450 to present day. Students will study how social groups changed throughout this time and how all of the above items impacted their change. As a whole, the course outline contains 19 key concepts distributed through the 4 key periods in European history stated above. The curriculum framework contains more detailed information on the key concepts. The College Board has designed the concepts to give teachers more freedom in selecting course content. The key concepts are the framing device for teaching this course. Throughout their study of AP European history, your students will be encouraged to use historical thinking skills. There are 4 main historical thinking skills, which we've given a basic overview of here. The first is chronological reasoning, which will allow your students to analyze and evaluate historical patterns of continuity and change over time. Comparison and contextualization asks your students to compare historical developments and processes across time and place, as well as explain and evaluate multiple and differing perspectives on a given historical phenomenon. Crafting historical arguments from historical evidence asks your students to evaluate and synthesize conflicting historical evidence to construct persuasive historical arguments. Last, historical interpretation and synthesis asks your students to draw appropriately on ideas and methods from different fields of inquiry or disciplines. Now we'll take a quick look at the exam. Your students should be familiar with the format of the AP exam starting in the beginning of the school year. The exam consists of 2 sections. The first is multiple choice and lasts 105 minutes. There are 55 multiple choices and 4 short answer questions. These make up 60% of your students' score. The second section is focused on writing and lasts for only 90 minutes. There is 1 long document-based question, or DBQ, and 1 long essay. These make up the remaining 40% of your students' score. In our next video, we'll examine how the student edition will prepare your class for this exam.